Podcast City Network.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 107. A lot of great things to talk about tonight, but before we can get to that, I have to bring in the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mean God Jimmie. How you doing tonight, bud?
Better than ever. I'm on the show, so can't be any better than that. We got a good one tonight, too.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of stuff that we got to talk about tonight, including NHL playoff updates, NBA playoff updates, all kinds of crazy stuff, and even Aaron Rodgers again. He's popping back up on here. So a lot of crazy stuff that we got to talk about tonight, but you got to make sure that if you want to see all things Final Score, that you follow us on social media at PCN Final Score, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on there and smash the like, smash the follow, smash the subscribe buttons. That way you can always see the latest and greatest memes and opinions and episodes of Final Score. It's that easy, really that easy. But if you could do one more thing for us, there's these two little buttons in either corner. They call it I think it's a share and a reaction button. Hit those buttons for us and help us get Final Score out there even more. We can't do it without you guys, so please hit those for us. But we do have to talk a little bit of NHL action. A lot of stuff has been going on in the NHL, and we were hoping to have ourselves a little bit of a segment from Jimmie, or not from Jimmie, I'm sorry, from JDM, still with a J. From JDM, but JDM got tied up with a lot of things tonight, so I shall do my best, as well as Jimmie will do his best to bring you what we can with updates of hockey. And, you know, we're not quite to the El Sucio, El Ducio, and all that, you know, JDM brings for us every week, but I tell you what, we will have it back next week. But just to kind of give you a rundown of the first round that happened in the NHL playoffs, you know, it was a lot of great games, a lot of games that went the mile, some that went a little quicker than we thought as well, depending upon which game you're talking about. But there was just so much going on all the way around, starting with the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders, where the Penguins were favored to win this entire series, but the Islanders ended up taking it 4-2, with 2 of those games going into overtime, one of those into double overtime. So it just goes to show you can't count out that awesome NHL action. Can you, Jimmie?
That's about as close as it gets. 2 games going to overtime between the same 2 teams in a series like that. I mean, that's just classic action.
Oh, yeah. And they were classic games all the way through. So really great series, and the Islanders move on. But also looking at the other part of the East Division, we had the Washington Capitals taking on the Boston Bruins. Now, you want to talk about some hockey. The Bruins ended up taking this 4-1, but the first 3 games went overtime, double overtime, and the Bruins just got the job done most of the time and were able to pull away and take this thing. And the Capitals really only won that first game and then really weren't a factor after that, having kind of getting blown out in the last 2 games. And I'm assuming just, you know, being worn down from overtime games, having to put in all that extra work, that can wear on a team. Don't you agree?
Yeah, especially towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. See, with the NFL coming up, right, this is exactly the kind of stuff they want to limit overtime reps. It's past the point of a normal game where your body's already been pushed to the limit. But I would like to see these teams play again next year. When you see this many games going to overtime, right, it's close. They're having a hard time finishing each other off, and I think, you know, given another series next year, a little more time to prepare, it would be a really good matchup.
Absolutely, it could be, and we'll definitely see how that looks going forward. But, you know, you said something about things being so close. This series that we're about to talk about from the Central Division of Round 1 was absolutely crazy, especially the last 4 games between the Hurricanes and the Predators. Now, this series was very kind of, in my opinion, all over the place. The Hurricanes won the first 2, then the Predators won 2, and then the Hurricanes won 2 to finish it off 4-2. But the last 4 games go double overtime, overtime. And that just shows you, man, just how insanely wild the NHL playoffs really are.
Yeah, they don't seem to have the same kind of disparity that you see in the early rounds of, well, everything for me is through an NFL lens because I'm a huge NFL fan. But those first couple rounds, you see a lot more kind of blowouts. You almost never see like a wild card game go to overtime, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the teams are just so close to each other in a lot of these matchups, which is ultimately what's going to give you the best game on TV.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And this one definitely, the whole series did not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. But moving on to the battle for Florida from the Central Division, we had the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning going at it. Ended up going 6 games, with the Lightning winning 4, obviously, to 2. Being able to really get a lot of stuff. Really get chippy and really get aggressive in this. This was probably one of the more physical series, and I actually got to see a couple of these games that actually were so chippy that we saw almost complete bench clearing fights that were happening, and it was just crazy. It was just really crazy to see just how chippy they were getting and how far the refs were letting them go. Were you surprised at that?
I don't know. I think you have some high expectations for craziness when you have a team full of Florida mans, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm surprised there aren't more fights in Florida sports, if I'm being completely honest. But, yes, it is, as much as a fan sometimes wants to see them let these guys go, it is always kind of a surprise the extent to which sometimes they just stay out of it. Yeah. I can't agree or disagree. Maybe they're down there seeing something I'm not. Or maybe if you don't let them blow off some steam, the fights just get even crazier.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do. And especially when you're looking at their Game 3 and Game 4, just how chippy things were getting, especially after Game 3 when they go into Game 4. That 6-2 win by the Lightning was one of the most punishing wins I had ever seen out of the Lightning. And it was just crazy to see how that game went. But still, the Lightning do move on to the next round, and we'll definitely see how they fare there, which we do have more on that here in a little bit. But talking about the North Division from round 1, we saw the Toronto Maple Leafs, who ended up losing one of their star players due to concussion during the series, ended up being able to still get, or almost get close to getting the job done, because right now the series is tied at 3 apiece. They'll be playing Game 7 tomorrow at a time still to be determined. Definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out. The last 2 games both going into overtime, both being won by the Canadiens. So definitely going to be interesting to see if the Maple Leafs can come back and try and win this. Do you think they have a shot?
I think they do. It always hurts when you lose a star player, but sometimes teams can rally around that. You know, sometimes that's the catalyst that gets your team going and gets you back in, as paradoxical as that can be.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we'll definitely see what they bring in that game that will take place tomorrow, Game 7, the final game of the North Division from round 1. So definitely will be interesting to see how that one plays out. But looking over at the other side of the North Division, you had the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets. Now, this one was extremely interesting because of the fact that the Edmonton Oilers, with Connor McDavid, or AKA McJesus as JDM likes to call him, got completely run out of the building and owned 4-0 by the Winnipeg Jets, who had suspect goaltending, not strong defense, and now has knocked off the Edmonton Oilers in a sweep. But it's not like the Oilers didn't put up a fight, because the last 3 games of the series went to overtime, triple overtime. So, I mean, it's not like they didn't put up a fight, but the Golden Boy did not come through. And it's even led to the departure of a certain executive that we're going to touch on even later. Are you surprised that Edmonton didn't even get a single game in this series?
I am surprised. It's hard for me to tell if it was just the matchup or if they had been kind of holding back in preparation for the playoffs. it's impossible to say, but it was really surprising. What will surprise me even more is if they can manage to come out and look fresh after a triple overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And everything it took them to win, right? They've played now a lot. So we'll see how that affects them going into the next series,
Oh yeah, for sure. Because now Winnipeg is going to have a little bit of time off before really jumping in. But the NHL's been trying to keep things just kind of moving along. But now they're going to have to go on to play the winner of the Maple Leafs and Canadiens. So we'll see how that one will work out. But in our last division matchups, we had the Colorado Avalanche taking on the St. Louis Blues. And this was not even close. The Avalanche completely swept the Blues right off the table. And honestly, it was kind of a shocker to me because it wasn't even close. Game 1, Avalanche win 4-1. Game 2, 6-3. Game 3, 5-1. Game 4, 5-2. They were not even close. And we expected the Colorado Avalanche to play good, which they're also playing right now, which we'll touch on that in a little bit. But just how dominant they were was absolutely crazy. But a lot of people had them picked as a top Stanley Cup pick since the season started in January. So surprised, not surprised?
I'm surprised that they managed to dominate as much as they did. It's one thing to be a favorite going in, for people to think you're going to win it all. It's another to completely dominate another playoff opponent like this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it was really crazy to see how that went down. But in our other West Division matchup, we had the Vegas Golden Knights, taking on the Minnesota Wild. And this one ended up going the full length, all 7 games. And the Wild, for whatever reason, have always just played the Vegas Golden Knights tough ever since they entered the league. But this one got a little crazy. The Wild won game 1, then the Golden Knights won 3 straight and had the Minnesota Wild on the ropes up 3-1. And then the Wild win 2 straight to force game 7. But the Golden Knights ended up getting it done and takes the series. And it was a just classic to see how this series unfolded. This is one that people will look back and say, this is why the Vegas Golden Knights are a legitimate franchise and not just some random expansion team. We are talking about a team that made it to the Stanley Cup in their first season. So it's, even though they lost in atrocious fashion, but either way, they still made it. And that's something that you definitely have to say for them is definitely a big staple. So for them to still show they are a fighting franchise, I think it's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. And it proves that it wasn't a fluke what they did, right? It hasn't been a fluke. They are a good team and they're here to stay. And as a Vegas sports guy, I've seen all the hype and I think it's well deserved. They are a real team despite their youth, right? As an organization, They are a force to be reckoned with, and they probably will be going into the future as well.
Absolutely, they will. And it'll definitely be interesting to see how things work out going into the next round. But talking about round 2 in the next round, we have a lot of hockey that's going to be going on. We have already had the Bruins and the Islanders play their first game. Bruins winning 5-2 and currently leading 1-0 in that series. But let's not count out the Islanders. The Islanders have a lot of great skaters over there that are going to be able to hopefully bounce them back, and we'll definitely see how that'll work out come tomorrow, May 31st, 7:30 p.m. Definitely make sure to check out that game. Definitely going to be a really good one. But we also had the Lightning and the Hurricanes playing tonight, with the Lightning winning 2-1 just a little bit earlier, and really showing their mettle against a really strong Carolina team. I definitely expect that series to be one that's going to really go down to the wire. But their next game won't be till Tuesday, June 1st at 7:30 p.m. So definitely make sure to catch that one, as well as the current game we have going on between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado currently up 3-0 with 18 minutes left in the second period, showing that they are not going to take Vegas lightly. Are you surprised that they're up 3-0 right now?
I am surprised, but we'll see how it ends up. It is also just one game. We'll see. Maybe they're still resting, from the last one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we'll see if maybe that long 7-game series is really what's going to affect Vegas going into this series, because that could end up being the thing that really holds them back. But we'll definitely see how that one works out. But still a lot of great hockey to be played, and we definitely hope to have JDM back next week to give us his Stanley Cup or his NHL playoff update, for the NHL going forward. But sad that we don't have him this week, but we understand JDM's a busy guy, so you got to give that guy some time every now and then. But definitely a lot to cover. But you also got to make sure to check out all the great content platforms for Final Score, including Podbean, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Bullhorn, Player FM, YouTube, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and probably a myriad of others that we don't even know about because, hey, Final Score is really out there. So if there's a platform we're not on or that we don't have listed, let us know, and we will make sure to get on there or have it on here one way or the other. But you can also find everything at our Hub Central at podcastcity.net/Final Score and all the great stuff that we have there. But now it's time to talk a little bit of NBA playoff basketball, and there's definitely been a lot of basketball going on, and it's been wild. Been catching a few games here and there, but the biggest story is the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks swept the Miami Heat right out of the building and did it in dominant fashion, winning their latest game 120-103. Miami, man, they just really could not hang with the Bucks whatsoever in this series.
Yeah, it looked like they were playing from two different leagues. Mm-hmm. It's always bad. Like you see the home team go down, but it's so much worse when it looks like they never should have been there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they underestimated their opponent. It seems hard to do for an entire series, right? To just go, oh, we can beat these guys after they just trounced you. Mm-hmm. But they just couldn't. They couldn't bring it in, couldn't bring it together. They're definitely going to have to regroup and figure out something else for next year.
Yeah, they definitely did not look like the team that made a run all the way to the NBA Finals last year, and really crazy to kind of see how all this unfolded. And, you know, after that second round playoff exit, losing to the Heat last year, I'm sure Milwaukee definitely came into this with a chip on their shoulder, ready to prove that they really are the dominant team in the East, because I feel like Milwaukee for the past couple seasons has been trying to prove that, but keep having these playoff exits that just don't match what the kind of team they are during the regular season. So, I mean, we'll see come next year. But looking at our next series, we got the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics that have been going at it. Brooklyn currently leading 2-1. Right now, though, they are playing Game 4 on TNT, so definitely make sure to check that out. Should be getting close to wrapping up. We can give you a quick update here in just a moment. But definitely still playing, so definitely make sure to check them out. Right now, Brooklyn is leading 133-114 with 3:38 left in the fourth. So looking like Brooklyn's going to end up taking this one and possibly taking a 3-1 lead. Do you think that Boston would have a shot if Brooklyn ends up getting this 3-1 lead?
There's always a chance, but usually when a team pulls out to a 3-1 lead, it's for a reason. Mm-hmm. So the odds will be slim. Again, sometimes these bad scenarios end up being a rallying cry for a team. As crazy as it sounds, that hardship can bring a team together. And if they were to go all the way, this would be the moment in the sports documentary where their mettle was tested, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll find out real quick.
Oh, yeah, we definitely will. And a quick shout out to Forrest Nystrom in the chat, chatting us up while he is live at AEW Double or Nothing in Jacksonville. So definitely have fun at that and be safe. And thanks for checking in with us here at Final Score. But moving on, though, we still have the 76ers and the Wizards who have been going at it. 76ers currently with a 3-0 lead in this series, and they've been doing it pretty dominantly. Their last win coming by 29 points. Their next game, though, is going to be tomorrow, 7 p.m. on TNT, so definitely make sure to check that out. 76ers were a heavy favorite going into this series, though, and not too much of a surprise that they're whooping up on the Wizards the way they are. Are you surprised?
Not at all. I mean, at this point, it looks like the Wizards will have to make their team name literal if they want to pull this one out. They're going to need some magic.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need a little bit of magic because they have been looking absolutely atrocious so far during this series. So if they don't find a way to get a something going, they're definitely going to be swept right out of the playoffs. So we'll definitely see how that one works out. But our last series in the East has been one that's been a little more controversial in some aspects and has had a little bit of off-court antics, as well as some stuff with the 76ers and Wizards with Russell Westbrook and the popcorn, if everybody remembers. But with Knicks and the Hawks, it's been crazy. The Hawks ended up taking the first game in New York, upsetting Knicks fans everywhere who thought that the Knicks were back. The Knicks ended up taking game 2, but now the Hawks have won 2 straight and have done so in somewhat surprising fashion. So now we're looking at Atlanta with a 3-1 series lead. Next game to be played Wednesday, time to be determined. But I'm honestly shocked that Trae Young's been able to do what he's done to the Knicks. Do you think the Knicks are done, or are the Knicks phonies?
I don't know that they're phonies. It could just be a bad matchup. You know, a lot of playoff in any sport is just finding that matchup that's favorable for your team.
Mm-hmm.
We've all seen teams come in with a head of steam and just run into a scheme that they can't handle. This could be as simple as that. If I had watched more of the games personally, you know, I could give you a better idea, but sometimes it's just the luck of the draw and you're up against the wrong team at the wrong time.
Very true, but now it's time to move on to the West, where we have the Mavericks and the Clippers, who've been really going back and forth. Mavericks currently leading 2-1. Game 4 tonight at 9:30 in about 5 minutes on TNT once Brooklyn and Boston wraps up. But the Mavericks ended up taking the first 2 games, including a Luka Doncic 31-point triple-double in Game 1. But the Clippers have shown that they're going to hang around and took Game 3. So definitely going to be interesting to see how that one's going to play out. Both teams right now are really vying for that next spot, especially with Luka Doncic, who's been in the thick of talk for possible MVP consideration. So definitely be interesting to see how that one will play out. But looking at our next series, we got the Trailblazers versus the Nuggets, and this one's going to be a little more interesting because this one has really gone back and forth and is currently tied at 2 games apiece. They don't play again until Tuesday, 9 p.m. on NBA TV. But the Trailblazers took game 1, Nuggets took 2 and 3, and Trailblazers took 4. Real back and forth, real close games. But now we're going to get into what's going to become win 2 and you're done. That way you can move on to the next round. With how tight this series has been, do you have a favorite for who might come out of this or someone we might be looking at?
It's a tough one. I mean, it's so close. Coin toss, really, but
I agree.
Either way, I think we'll end up getting a good game no matter what.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. The two like I was saying earlier, when your playoff teams are competitive, is when you always get the best games.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree, and that's the one thing we've seen is a lot of competitiveness because both teams have been able to steal wins on the road. So, you know, obviously home court advantage is not that big of a factor here. It's more about who's able to gut it out more during these games, and we've seen an even matchup. So it's really exciting to see this kind of this kind of playoff atmosphere. You know, seeing these teams battle it out like this. I love this. Love seeing this kind of stuff go on. It just gets me all excited. Woo! That's right. Woo! Get that in there too. But moving on to our next series, we have the Phoenix Suns and the LA Lakers also tied at 2 games apiece right now, also stealing wins on the road against one another. Really crazy to see the defending NBA champions having to basically win a play-in tournament and then get themselves in this position to play the Suns, who have been a resurgent franchise now. And really exciting to see the kind of basketball we've been seeing out of both teams during this series. But the next game, Tuesday, 10 p.m. on TNT, is going to be huge in deciding how this one will go from here. Lakers and Suns, defending NBA champion versus the newcomers. I'm feeling good about the newcomers. How you feeling about it?
It's crazy. The one indicator I usually look at is whether or not the teams can win on the road, right? Like you said, Steel win on the road, but they both have done so. So it makes it so hard for me to say, like, well, they have the advantage. They have the advantage. Obviously, the Lakers have that storied history, and then on the other side, you've got a team that's kind of surging back from the ashes of what it used to be. It's the archetypal matchup of the old juggernaut versus the young up-and-comer kind of thing. And so far, neither one of them have really shown that they have what it takes to really pull ahead. So I want to see this last game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It definitely will be one I think that's going to decide this series kind of going forward a little bit. The Lakers are going to be without Anthony Davis, though. He's considered day-to-day right now, so he may or may not be available for this game on Tuesday. But they still will have LeBron James, so, don't worry. The Golden Boy's out there. And we'll see what we get, So definitely make sure to check that out, though. Tuesday, 10 p.m. on TNT. But our last series that we have going on in the West, the Jazz and the Grizzlies, and this one is supposed to be a showcase, especially for the Jazz and the kind of points they've been able to put up, including the 141 they put up in Game 2. So showing no shortage of offensive firepower during this series as the Jazz now enjoy a 2-1 lead in the series. Their next game, though, won't be until tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. on TNT. So definitely make sure to check that out. I can't wait to see more from the Jazz because they've just had offensive explosion after offensive explosion, scoring no less than 100 in every single one of these games.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody can really stop them. They're just running up and down the court, killing it. Yeah. I guess the first team to really prove that they can play defense against them will be the one that give them the most problems.
Oh, of course, yeah, and they're going to have to find ways to stop this offense that's able to have scorers from anywhere, even on the bench, that have been able to just make it happen this year. Been absolutely crazy.
Try to slow the game down, steal some possessions, really get that grindy. Because if you're going to score 140 points in a game, you have to do it fast, right? So I think the goal will be to kind of slow the game down, try to hold the ball a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely, and it'll definitely be interesting to see how that one plays out, but definitely make sure to check out that game again, Game 4, tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. on TNT. Of course, times are Eastern because, hey, we're on the East Coast. That's how it works. But that has been our NBA update for the playoffs. Definitely make sure to join us next week when we bring you the next round, as a lot of these series will be ending once we get to episode 108. So definitely make sure to check out with our round 1 recap and round 2 preview that we'll have next week. But you can also go and check out all the great and new Final Score merch that you can get at podcastcity.net/shop. A lot of great stuff going on there. And at the PCN shop, they have what you need, whether it's a net gator to protect you from COVID-19, a mug for your morning coffee, or a t-shirt just to look cool. They got you covered. Get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and checking out the lineup. And like I said, a lot of great stuff going on over there. So definitely check out all the great merch that they have for all the shows and help support them. Yeah, do it. Do it
Go
now.
Check out that merch. As a person who has bought a lot of it, I can tell you it's all high quality stuff. It's one thing for the show to tell you go buy the merch. It's another for a guy that wears these shirts every day to tell you these are nice shirts. Most of the nicest shirts I have are Final Score merch. I don't know if that says more about the merch or me, but very comfortable stuff. And the Gators I've found are pretty nice. Like, they were great in the winter because they were warm. Now in the summer, still nice because it just keeps the sun off you. I might just keep wearing them forever, honestly. Plus, it's another place to put that Final Score logo.
Dude, you're the best. I love it. Our number one buyer of merch. No doubt. Oh, man. But still,
hey, it's great stuff.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And I know I wear the living crap out of it too. So I'm probably the number 2 buyer of merch. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. Just like a lot of things is what it is when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and everything going on up in Green Bay, because the Packers are still optimistic that they can get him, quote unquote, back in the building, even though indicated by Coach Matt LaFleur, seemingly unfazed after the Aaron Rodgers ESPN interview. Now, a lot of people are making a lot about this interview to begin with. We were talking a little bit before we went on air about the fact that Aaron Rodgers didn't say anything really defamatory or anything of that nature to really make it seem like it's not like he gave like a big bird to the Packers and saying, you know what, I'm never playing here again, trade me, you know, anything like that. So it seems a little strange that Green Bay felt the need, I guess, to really comment even on it. But I mean, hey, this is why we have these situations, I guess, just to make sure that everybody knows where they're standing.
They're in denial. They are in denial. Any amount of optimism they have that he's coming back after what he said, they are in denial. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything to the effect of he's not coming back, but he definitely did not intimate in any way that he had any interest in coming back. He just didn't say enough to plummet his value with other prospective teams, and that was it. Like I said before the show, it sounded to me like he was on that final score tip. He's talking about, the organization is made up of people, and it's about the players. It's not about some corporation. So maybe he's got that inside track from Final Score, and that was what really swung his decision to leave. Also, he's looking for a fat paycheck. He's already getting a fat paycheck, but the type of check that some team's going to offer him to entice him away from the Green Bay Packers is going to be unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing to see what that will end up looking like, because you're talking about the reigning MVP right now. This guy also has a Super Bowl under his belt. The guy is no joke, and he's still setting records. So it's just let him get a little bit more in there, and you're going to be wondering, oh, man, Green Bay's going to be kicking themselves. But to kind of update you on the situation as well, Aaron Rodgers has not shown up to any of the voluntary offseason OTAs whatsoever. Has not even really talked about it. And Jordan Love has been taking all of the first team reps. Blake Bortles not even dressing this week, prepping him for next week. So it's going to be interesting if this ends up being the Jordan Love show or even the Blake Bortles show, dare we say, in Green Bay. Do you think they even have a realistic shot at quarterback or even having a good season if they don't have Aaron Rodgers back?
It's so tough to say because the quarterback room that they have is young, right? So it's always possible that one of these kids could step up and become the next Aaron Rodgers, just like Aaron Rodgers became the next better than Favre. You know, he came in and made it his team. So it's possible. But realistically, you would have rather had this deal done in the offseason, not now, not in the preseason, right? Because they don't have the structure there. Bortles isn't even showing up right now, so I don't know what they plan on doing. I wonder, could this be Aaron Rodgers' way of trying to get a fatter contract? I know he's a bit of a conspiracy guy. So maybe this time he cooked one up,
I wonder if Aaron Rodgers looked at Green Bay, though, when they said the comments about the ESPN interview, and Aaron Rodgers was just like,
I don't think it means what you think it means.
Because, at the end of the day, I've been waiting for the perfect time to use that one. But because at the end of the day, he's been very vocal about wanting to leave because they're not, like we said, it's about the people, it's about the organization, it's about the approach. It's not about the money, it's not about glory, it's not about all that kind of stuff. It's about people. And at the end of the day, that's what he wants to be around, is good people, and he doesn't feel like he's around that in Green Bay right now. So, I mean, a lot of players are hoping he comes back, obviously, but
if he thinks he's going to find an NFL team, though, that isn't just a giant corporate overlord, he's crazy. This is what all these teams are. Yeah, they all pay lip service to the idea that they care about these people and they're a family and all that, but they still just hide, concussions and all this other stuff and keep these guys in their place, shit on their free speech, all this other stuff. Don't act like, you're going to go out there and find a team that cares about you as a person. They all just want the MVP. So when that's the situation, where does he even go?
Yeah, and that is something, is that if it's not perfect to what Aaron Rodgers wants, will it just end up being another situation a team has to deal with? So, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how a lot of this is going to play out. And looking at the chat right now, giving a quick shout out to Space, our guest from last week, saying that Aaron was more cordial than Julio was this week. That is definitely true. Julio did not hold back on his feelings about Atlanta, which we'll have more on that hopefully next week. But Space also saying that Jimmie's on point with the comment about the league as a whole, though. And that's very true. That is how the league operates. It's just how things are done. They don't really care too much about the player as much as they do the bottom line. And that's the biggest thing, is that as long as the bottom line's big and fat, everybody's happy, generally. So, I don't know. We'll see how this works out. But like you said, it's going to be interesting. This is going to be very interesting, because who would have thought we'd be sitting here really talking about the actual possibility Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay? I know I thought he was going to retire a Packer. So, I don't know. This is going to be
Joe Montana didn't retire as a 49er. Ever since then, nothing surprises me.
That is a very good point. But we'll definitely have more on this as things unfold. Green Bay's still optimistic to get him back, but I don't know if it's going to happen, honestly. Do you think it happens?
No, not one bit. Unless, like I said, he looks around and realizes that no matter what team he plays for, he's going to be playing for that corporate entity that he hates so much.
Yeah.
Maybe go to the CFL where the teams aren't worth billions of dollars. He would definitely be an MVP in that league, right?
Oh, yeah.
You want to go where people care about people? Stop playing football, start a podcast, and join Podcast City Network. That's where people care about people.
That is where people care about people. And speaking of Podcast City Network, you should check out our parent network, Podcast City Network, on their website and all of their social media outlets, including Facebook.com/Podcast City Network, Twitter @Podcast City Net, on YouTube by searching Podcast City Network, and like we mentioned, that website, podcastcity.net, because FinalScore is a proud member of Podcast City Network with over 20 plus independent podcast members across all genres of podcasting. And while they always are looking for interested podcast hosts and content creators to join the network, they also understand that it may not be what you're looking for right now. But so if you need something like, say, a new logo, an intro, outro video, maybe some music, a live stream hosting, voiceover work, or hey, maybe you just need some one-on-one consulting to figure out your next move, no matter the need, they got you covered. Just go to podcastcity.net/services and fill out the contact form for an estimate so they can help you reach your podcasting goals. Be creative, be independent, be yourself. Podcast City Network. And that leads us into our next segment, though, talking about the one Wayne Gretzky, the now former vice chairman of the Edmonton Oilers, as he stepped down immediately following the Edmonton Oilers' first-round exit at the hand of the Winnipeg Jets, and is now rumored to be taking on a TNT analyst role. This is huge. The Great One himself said that he is done working as an exec in the NHL for the team that he helped lead to a bunch of Stanley Cups. This is monumental. What do you think about this?
The guy's 60 years old, and the stress of day-to-day running a team is eventually going to get to anybody, no matter how great you are, especially him, right? He's got the mileage put on already to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the analyst role goes, I'm not surprised at all that people would value his input. I don't know what he's like as an on-mic personality, and I don't think they do either necessarily. If you look at his contract, he's going to be a little limited in his first couple years, and then they'll bring him in a little stronger as it goes on, which I think is the right approach, right? If you don't have a lot of time on mic, just sprinkle them in, get trained up, I know they have a boot camp for that kind of stuff that a lot of these guys go through. So, and I've watched an NFL Network over the years. Some of these guys come in and they're a little unpolished at first, but some of them are great. And that insight that they bring, and the insight that he will bring specifically, not only having been a player, but also an executive, right? So he's been on both sides, and I think he will have a lot to say. I noticed in his comments that he is going to focus a lot more on trying to be positive, which is a good thing too, right? We can't all just talk shit and share memes. That's Somebody's got to be out there encouraging these guys. Wayne Gretzky knows FinalScore has its niche and he has his,
That's right.
But I'm pretty excited about it. I love seeing some of these guys that have been to the top at multiple levels come in and evaluate talent, talk about the games, and I think it'll be a lot less stress on him. I know he's moving and all that stuff, but Georgia's beautiful. I think he's going to have a great time there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great, and you're seeing everything that's going on with him. Maybe it's just the right move, especially at his age now. It's just time to move into that kind of role. So, but if you don't know what we're talking about whatsoever, we're talking about Wayne Gretzky, the great one. So go smack yourself first. And then second, we're talking about a guy who joined the Edmonton Oilers in 2016 with duties that included working on the business side as well as supporting development initiatives in the Rogers Place Arena District to try and help revitalize the area and bring it up there around Edmonton. But now that he steps away, he steps into it's a 7-year agreement with TNT and Turner to work regular season games and inevitably playoff games and then the Stanley Cup Finals starting in 2023. So definitely looks like you said, an ease in to him moving to the broadcast side, which is good. And they do offer a lot of different boot camps, a bunch of boot camps for being able to work a mic and do sports broadcasting. So I'm sure he has plenty of friends and more than enough eager people that will want to help him be able to be the best broadcaster that he can be. So it's just crazy to see this finally happen, after seeing the Edmonton Oilers be able to get Connor McDavid and be able to put a team around him and get consistently in the playoffs again, to just now kind of step away. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just a timing thing.
Yeah, the rebuild must have been pretty attractive to him, but now that they're a stronger team, he probably feels like he can step away and let the team take care of its own destiny.
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it too, and maybe that is the case. But we'll definitely have more on this as we move forward, and I can't wait to see him on a mic. I bet you he'll be good.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out over there, he can always again hit up that Podcast City. They'll help him transfer into the podcast game. They've got all the tools he needs, and he's definitely got the money.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy, he does. So hit us up, podcastcity.net. But like you should go and hit up City Limits Tap Room, located in beautiful, and I mean beautiful, DeLand, Florida. All you have to do is go on down to 2620 North Woodland Boulevard and go check them out there, and all the great specials that they have every day, including Mondays with all-day $6 wing baskets and $5 pitchers of Yingling, Landshark, and Busch Light. Tuesdays is Guys Night with half off all wells and drafts from 7 p.m. to close. Wednesday, all-day $5 pitchers of whatever posted beer they have from 2 p.m. to close, and $2 seltzers at the outside bar. And then, of course, Thursday's Ladies Night with $1 wines, wells, and drafts from 7 p.m. to close. And Friday, karaoke with Al, good friends of Podcast City Network. That goes on from 7 p.m. to close. And Sundays, $13 domestic buckets and $16 import and craft buckets all day long. So definitely make sure to go check them out. Again, City Limits Tap Room in beautiful DeLand, Florida. That does bring us to one of our more favorite segments on the show, and that is none other than Meme Madness. And I think we have more memes on this episode than we probably ever have had, and it's going to be amazing, and I absolutely cannot wait. And we're going to go ahead and hit it off with the first one, which is how to say garbage in all of the world's different languages. And it's really easy. All you have to say, Dallas Cowboys. It is that easy.
They should replace that garbage symbol with just the big blue star on the side of all the trucks.
Yes, that'd be even better. Oh my gosh, we got to make that into a meme. That'd be awesome. Because if you make something into a meme, it might end up on Final Score. And if you happen to walk in on your son who left his computer open and want to know what he's looking at on the internet, it's Final Score.
The M. Night Shyamalan twist, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know what you expect to see on a kid's computer.
Oh, yeah. So this next one, though, is your friendly reminder that Cam Newton woke up at 4:20 a.m. daily just to go 7 of 19 for 81 yards and 0 touchdowns every game.
That's commitment to crap team perfection right there.
Yes, we need to.
Unfortunately, the team around him was too good to get there.
Oh, it's too good. Oh, it's too good. But you know what else is good? Is seeing Tim Tebow back in the league, even though it looks like he's been lifting a lot more than just Bibles. Dang, look at him. Jacked.
He looks so jacked. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was a big guy when he was in the league before. He was not a small guy. I mean, especially for a quarterback, huge. But now he's just shredded to a whole nother level. I wonder what kind of supplements he's doing.
I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't come down to a drug test here soon.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, you think he just looks like that natural? Some guys do.
Some guys do.
I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is shredded. But looking at the Aaron Rodgers situation one more time, here's a little quick sit rep on his situation right now, where he was sitting with a top 3 wide receiver, a top 10 tight end, a top 2 offensive line, top 10 running back, an improved defense, a good head coach. But Aaron Rodgers says, it's not good enough. I need to get that as a sound bit. Get Gordon Ramsay just yelling. Too good. Too good. But you know what else was really good? Going back to that Jets and Oilers series, the Jets had finally released their defensive strategy on McJesus, the overprotective parenting defense. Oh, that's a good one sent in by good old JDM.
Love it.
Oh,
always the source for great hockey memeage.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if there's a Spanish equivalent to meme, so JDM, hit me up on that one. I know it'd be pronounced in Spanish meme, but let me know if there's a specific Espanol word for meme.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to find out. We'll have to maybe even rename the segment. Who knows? But looking at our next one, you have so much wasted talent, more losing than you ever could imagine, a plethora of number 1 draft picks, not a single Super Bowl win. I present to you the Bermuda Triangle of the NFL. Oh, these are so good.
Oh, I love it.
So fire. Oh, man. I bet you I have all these fans. All these fans are looking at me right now just being like,
I'm pissed now.
You know what? It's for love. You know, we wouldn't even take the time to make fun of something if we didn't love it so much.
Oh, yeah. And you know, I feel bad for Craig being a Lions fan and being included in this. But you know what? He's probably sitting at home being like,
you're killing me, Smalls.
Because I razz him so bad about being a Lions fan. Oh, my God.
One day it'll pay off. You know, every team has their day. Yeah, it hasn't been the Lions' day for 60 years, but, you know, every team has their day.
Hey, the Eagles proved it. It took us 50-plus years, but we finally got a Super Bowl, so, hey, it could happen. And
now with Aaron Rodgers going somewhere, you know, maybe that opens up a spot for Detroit to take the division.
Yeah, you never know, because you know Kirk Cousins. Well, no, you know what? I'm going to get to that one in a little bit. but our next meme is a football player that running it in saying, this touchdown's for you, Jesus. But guess what Jesus watches? Final Score. Oh, I'm sure I'm going to have somebody yelling at me later on for that one. Oh, but
just a little good-hearted blasphemy.
Yeah,
you know?
just good-hearted blasphemy. It's good for everybody. But our next one, the Food Network is paying Guy Fieri $80 million over 3 years, and at $26.6 million annually, that would put Fieri as one of the top 15 highest-paid players in the NFL. That's more than Tom Brady, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, Jalen Ramsey, and Amari Cooper. Just saying.
That's wild. Just wild. Because what is he the best at?
Apparently cooking food, but anybody can do that.
I don't hate the guy. I've watched diners, drive-ins, and dives a bunch, I guess. But it seems like a lot. The only thing that justifies it to me, I guess, is that I know he gives a lot of money to charity, so pay him as much as you want, right? Because ultimately it's going to get into the hands of people that need it.
That's true. That is a good point. But our next meme, getting back to the NFC North, the Vikings hate the Packers so much they refuse to win a Lombardi trophy. So Detroit, Aaron Rodgers out of town. Now's your chance.
Oh, I can't believe I've never seen that joke before. It was like one of those, you read it and it's so funny but so obvious, but just I've never seen anybody come up with that, like, oh yeah, nobody in their division wants to bring home a Lombardi because it's perfect. It's so good. It's like a stand-up premise in a meme.
I wonder if that's why the Bears can't win anymore. Oh my goodness. And now they're turning to Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, but that's for another show. But our last meme that we have for the week, when you really need something to turn your week around, you always got Final Score. Always here.
Oh, yeah. Always turns it around for me. Even if it's being on the show. That's great, too.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
You work a lot or bad things happen, 9 p.m. on a Sunday, flip on Final Score and get in the chat, talk some shit. Oh, I love it. I love this show.
And we love you too, Jimmie. Definitely believe it. But that does bring us on to, again, Podcast City Network, because at the end of the day, Podcast City Network offers all kinds of stuff. Because have you always wanted to start a podcast but didn't know how? Do you already have a podcast but don't know how to grow it? Are you trying to find ways to make your podcast profitable? You can learn to do it here at Podcast City Network. We offer consulting services and tutorial classes to help with learning to better expand your knowledge and to grow your show. And we also give access to our network of shows to help with cross-promotion guests and overall reach, while also becoming a part of our ever-expanding PCN community that's solely based on just people helping people. And the best part is, there's no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network. And they always have so much going on, and even have added shows like Verbal Shenanigans and all kinds of stuff. It's been really great to see that just the growth the network has been able to enjoy just based on people helping people. And it's really, really that easy. Really that easy. But that does bring.
And I just created some rumors that Wayne Gretzky and Aaron Rodgers might be on the network real soon.
Yeah, huge rumors. So keep your eyes.
I can say after I listen to this episode, I can say I heard that somewhere, and then we can get the ball rolling.
Yes, and in no time, we'll have Wayne Gretzky and Aaron Rodgers on the network hosting their own shows.
Aaron. I heard you were going to host a podcast with Podcast City Network, people helping people, and you just see his ears perk up like, wait, I can get out of this corporate paradigm? I can join a network of independent people, and they'll help me transition from MVP to MVP podcaster? Ding, 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 ding. Aaron Rodgers sense going off.
Oh,
Let's go. All the Final Score fans start blowing them up. Blow him up. Wayne Gretzky's 60. He probably don't have Twitter, but I know Aaron Rodgers got Twitter. Hit him up on the social media.
Our combined power.
It's over 9,000!
So let's make it happen. Oh, too much awesomeness.
You can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, anything you want in any way you want.
It don't have to be football. You just bring it in. Bring it in.
That does bring us to the good old give or go, and we definitely got some interesting ones this week. Starting first with That's right. A Deshaun Watson update, because the Houston Texans quarterback is not scheduled to be deposed in his case against him until early 2022, as they now enter the discovery phase of these cases, with him having 22 pending lawsuits against him. What do you think about them pushing this out so far? Because they literally said that this can't happen now before, I believe, hold on, let me look up the date real quick, February 22nd of 2022. Which puts it right after the NFL season. Are you surprised in any way by that?
Not really, given the number of cases. Discovery is a long process because you want to make sure you do your due diligence and you're trying to decide which evidence is admissible in court, what evidence you actually have. So I would rather see them take their time and do it right. There's already been some drama around the case. I know that Deshaun's lawyer had made some claims about them trying to settle, and then their lawyer came out and said that that was a lie. They were not looking for a settlement. And so in a way, the longer this goes on, I think the more public opinion's probably going to shape how it ends up. But at the same time, it's a legal proceeding. And so if I were being accused of what he's being accused of, I would definitely rather have all the evidence on my side.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that definitely makes the most sense, because a lot of people were getting just a little bit curious, just given that it was right after the NFL season. But I guess, with how this process works, you got to let the process play itself out, and it just happens to play out this way. So we'll definitely see. And
I don't know that it was any kind of, I don't think it was any kind of conspiracy to let him play or anything like that. It's just, it's a lot of cases, right? And they're all in a lawsuit together. So you really have to get everything in order before you go to court. Otherwise, imagine these ladies don't get their case, right? They're still going to have to pay. So before you go to court, you definitely want to have all your ducks in a row. Whether you are the defendant and you want to make sure that all that evidence backs up your claim that you didn't do any of these things, or if you're the prosecution, you want to have the evidence that will get justice for these victims. So the timing seems really convenient because it'll allow him to play, but at the same time, like I said, imagine it was you being accused. You would definitely want them to take their time and do it right. You don't want to jump immediately from allegation to sentence. This is America. Due process is very, very important. And you do want justice if they're, these women are victims. But either way, you need all your evidence, so that there aren't any questions later. Let's just get this done. We don't want to be back here in 2 more years, one way or the other. Right. Definitely it's going to hurt his trade prospects, I would imagine, to have all this floating around, because nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows he might end up in prison. So it would be a big swing to take on the guy at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it would. And we'll definitely have more on it moving forward once we have more information on it. This is going to take a while, though, guys. So definitely hang in there. But moving on to our next Give or Go topic. Son and ghostwriter of a late senator says that Trump intervened to stop the probe of the Patriots Spygate scandal. What do you think about this one?
It was hard for me to even wrap my head around all this. Between what's essentially hearsay, eyewitness accounts, he said, she said, anytime Roger Stone's involved in anything, there's some shady stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird to dance the legal limits of what's going on, because even if he did persuade this guy on behalf of, or try to persuade this guy on behalf of the Crafts, that's not inherently illegal. It's just unethical.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what to make of any of this, really. It doesn't surprise me that much that the NFL is moving money around in politics. We saw the President of the United States last year get involved in trying to get the league started again in the middle of the pandemic. So to see how far back these guys' relationships went. Obviously, Trump's been donating to a lot of politicians for a long time. A lot of business people do, to try and get zoning laws in their favor or whatever it is. You want to hedge your bets just in case your guy gets in or whatever. They had a long relationship. But ultimately, a lot of this is kind of hearsay.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to solidly tie Trump to any of this. And even if he did it, like I said, it's considering some of the legal trouble he's facing, this is almost nothing.
Oh yeah, and that yeah, you ain't lying when you look at the grand scope in that sense. But just so crazy to think though that he would have been involved. But like you said, it's not inherently illegal, just unethical. So I mean, is what it is at the end of the day. And we'll definitely have more on it, I'm sure, because I have a feeling this isn't going to go away immediately, but it will probably end up getting swept up under the rug, realistically. So we'll see what happens. But
more damning to me were the actions of the league in all this. Destroying the Spygate evidence and all that stuff. That's because it wasn't a criminal investigation. Nothing that they did was illegal either, necessarily. Just unethical practices by the league and by basically everyone involved. But when you start to involve money in things, ethics tend to go out the window, especially for people with a lot of it. Otherwise, they generally wouldn't have a lot of it.
Yeah, and that's where the power aspect comes in. So, yeah, definitely very crazy stuff when you really think about it. But you know what? We're going to switch gears from that to something that's still a little sad, but at least a little bit more uplifting that he made it, and that is kicker Adam Vinatieri. That's right, the great himself, the all-time leading NFL scorer, is retiring after 24 NFL seasons. He started playing when the year started with the number 1. So, just saying, man, what do you think about that?
It's the end of an era. It's crazy to see his rookie photos versus his retirement photos. He looked like his own dad at this point. I saw he officially announced it on the Pat McAfee show, so a little kicker hook up there. I knew they were teammates. That was a pretty fun interview, I thought. Pat McAfee's pretty good on the mic. I've watched his show a bit. He's a pretty funny guy, and it made for a great interview, and definitely you got nothing left to prove. You're the all-time scorer. You got a ring. Hang it up whenever you want.
You got a few rings.
Honestly, I bet his family would have liked. Yeah, I would imagine his family would have liked to see him 5 years ago. Yeah. Like what do you got to prove? Come on, let's just. But obviously, he loves the game. I wonder if he'll, transition into some kind of analyst. I've never seen a kicker get back into the league as a coach, but I'm sure it's happened as a special teams guy or something. If he really wants to get back in the league, I'm sure there'll be room for him. Oh, yeah. And the analyst booths are always ready to take a guy that, can show a little personality, which we've seen out of him, take it or leave it, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen definitely that he's not willing, or that he's been willing to put his personality out there a little bit, which is usually a good sign, gives you a little something to start from. Or he could just ride off into the sunset, Like I said, he's got nothing left to prove. It's just a matter of, does he still feel like he wants to contribute in some way to the league or give back in some way? I'm interested to see what he does. This is another prime candidate for a PCN podcast, if I'm being honest.
You're not lying. You ain't lying. Could be a third one right in the wings. Heard it here first. Rumors. But at the end of the day, the guy has done it all. He has done it all in the NFL. Has kicked game-winning field goals in the Super Bowl. Like you said, the NFL's all-time leading scorer. It's crazy to finally see him retire, though, and see him finally ride off into the sunset. But I'm interested, too, to see what he does from here. And if he wants to start a podcast, we're here at Podcast City Network, are always ready and waiting. So definitely come check us out. But moving on to our last...
Don't get sucked up into that stuff.
Yeah, don't get sucked up.
Come here.
But
you don't have to worry about nothing. Just because your boy McAfee's got a sports show doesn't mean you got to follow his in his footsteps.
Yeah.
Break out into the indie stuff. You'll love this so much more.
Oh, yeah, it's more exciting here. But moving on to our last giver.
Because I know he's listening.
Oh, yeah, he definitely is. Our last one, though, is Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady are going to team up versus Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers in a golf match July 6th. This is interesting for a number of reasons, just because Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady, this is not going to be their first time teaming up together, but even more so than that is that Phil Mickelson's coming off his 6th major title just last Sunday to become the oldest major champion at age 50, and is now going to team up with the oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl in Tom Brady. So it's going to be really crazy when they hit the reserve at Moonlight Basin in Big Sky, Montana for this matchup. The tournament is being called the Capital One's The Match and follows others that Mickelson has been involved in, including one last year in which he and Brady lost to Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning in a charity match for COVID-19 relief. So definitely very interesting to kind of see this come about. What do you think about it?
The two ageless wonders teaming up, I thought, was a really cool little aesthetic there. Both coming off of championships, both being up there in the age range, both middle-aged guys. I think it's real cool. It'll be great to see them if they can pull it out, They lost the last one. Let's see if they can go get this one.
Yeah.
See if Aaron Rodgers is not too distracted by what's going on in Green Bay to go out there and compete in a little golf tournament,
And that's what I wonder if the media is going to try and kind of hit him with that a little bit and see what's going on. But
he'll be dodging. We're not here for that. Let's just play some golf, have some fun, and make money for these charities. You know how he's a great guy. There's no way he's going to start stirring up crap. Honestly, I'm surprised that any of the stuff that he has done has been public, because he just doesn't seem like the type. That kind of shows you how bad it is where he's at, that he's willing to step out of line and actually. When have you ever heard him say anything? Remember the relax comments and all that stuff? He's usually so cool and collected. Even now, wanting to leave, he's but I don't think they'll get anything out of him. If somebody does, though, that'll be the scoop. You might not even see who wins the tournament. You'll just see Aaron Rodgers make statements about blank, and which I'm here for. Let's just call it what it is. Men always act like we're not into gossip, but if it's sports related, we want it every time. Come on.
Every last bit of it, every single time. But that does bring us to the end of our good old give or go. Oh my gosh, it's too good. I love it. But that does bring us, though, to Podchaser, because Apple Podcasts is not the only place, the only credible place to rate and review podcasts anymore. You can follow creators, browse every podcast ever, and rate and review episodes, including FinalScore. All you have to do is go to podchaser.com and search keyword FinalScore, one word, and follow, rate, and review us. Definitely make sure to check it out, podchaser.com. And that does bring us to the week ahead, which the week ahead is going to hold for us some more NHL playoffs as well as NBA action. Definitely make sure to check out all of that this upcoming week with games that are going on now and running through on until we crown champions. I'm excited for this. Games every day. It's going to be awesome. Make sure to check them out. But you also need to check out the great lineup of sports podcasts that we have part of Podcast City Network, including Not a Hockey Market Podcast with JDM, the Nest Podcast, the Rip Griffin Show, Fixed Edge, and Not Your Average Podcast in the 716. And a quick update on Fixed Edge. Fixed Edge will be going live this Wednesday at noon Eastern on YouTube Live. So definitely make sure to go check that out for when they go live with S Money and me, Chris. So it's going to be an amazing time. Definitely make sure to check it out and see it then. But also make sure to catch episode 108 of Final Score next Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern here on Facebook Live, as we'll bring you even more updates on the NHL and NBA playoffs, as well as other sports news and topics that we bring up, and of course all the awesome memes, because hey, we love our memes.
Woo!
Oh, but sadly that is our episode. Any final words, Jimmy?
Thanks for having me on. It was an honor. Love talking with you guys. Anybody that wants to come hang out in the comments. If I'm not on the screen here, I'm right down there in the comments every week. So let's go. Let's get it going, boys. Woo!
Yeah, let's get it going. And even Space saying we all love Jimmie in the chat. So yes, we all do love
you
Jimmie.
too, Space.
Definitely make sure.
Can't wait to hear the conclusion of that Elon Musk debate. I'm waiting for that. I haven't heard it yet. It's going to be a doozy.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely going to be a good one, and I can't wait.
Urban Nerd Weekly.
Yes.
Also, PCN Podcast. One of my favorites.
Yes.
You know, It's hard to pick favorites on PCN. I got to catch Nest live. Those guys are awesome. They got a lot of mics, but they manage it real well. The network is blowing up, and I'm loving all these new shows, guys.
Oh, yeah, we love them. There's been a lot of good stuff and more that's even to come. It's definitely going to be exciting. Definitely check it all out at podcastcity.net. But sadly, that is the end of our episode. We'll see you next week for episode 108. But until then, I'm Chris, and that's Jimmie, and you guys have just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night.
Podcast City Network.